I don't know what Russell wants. He's paid. They paid him twice in Seattle. The front office made sure that every other alpha male, with the exception of Bobby Wagner, KJ Wright, and some of the old school guys that are there, they made sure that all of us were out the door so that this team could be Russell Wilson's. And now this. I just don't know how you walk back in the locker room where you're saying my O-line is getting me hit too much. I don't have that much to say. Stephen A. How do you think we should feel about Michael Robinson's comments there and also about Russ at this point?
Well, I think the key thing is how should we feel about Russell Wilson? If you're Russell Wilson, you don't look very good this morning. Because let me tell you something about Michael Robinson. I know him a little bit. That's a good brother. He's incredibly knowledgeable about the game of football. He played 4 years in Seattle. His 8-year career, 4 of them, his last 4 was in Seattle, where he was on the team that won the Super Bowl in 2013. He wasn't there when they won it in 2014, but he was there when they won it in 2013. He knows a lot of guys inside that locker room, obviously. He still has relationships, and one of the reasons why is because he's one of the most honest cats you'll ever find. If he says something and that's how he feels, he's going to let you know. That's just the way that he is. And so when he speaks, you better listen because he's coming from a place where he's honest and candid. And more importantly, he's knowledgeable about it. And so when you have a guy like him speaking up and speaking out in the fashion that he does, knowing him the way that I do, he ain't speaking about just himself. He's speaking on behalf of all of those cats that he mentioned, along with a few others. And I will say this, and I find it very interesting because I'm certainly not sitting there and talking about people are liars or anything like that. But one of the things that stood out to me whenever I talk to former members, Max, of the Seattle Seahawks, the Legion of Boom and stuff like that, they're all some of the most honest cats you'll ever find. Honest cats, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Bobby Wagner, Richard Sherman, and these boys. I mean, they don't pull punches. They let you know exactly where they stand.
Smart group
let
of
you
guys,
know who they are. Now, Marshawn Lynch is on the offensive side of the ball. Marshawn Lynch just don't talk. But ain't nobody going to accuse Marshawn Lynch of lying. You don't look at him and find somebody that thinks you're important enough to lie to. He ain't doing that. That's not him. And when you come from that kind of culture and you are who you are to begin with, which is what Michael Robinson is like, then you know what? I got to look at Russell Wilson and be like, yo, I'm not accused. I'm not there. I don't report on the team like that, like beat writers that cover the team. But I got to tell you, if Michael Robinson opens his mouth about anything pertaining to the Seattle Seahawks, we had damn well better listen because he's not a liar, he ain't ignorant, and he ain't scared. So those 3 things, he's devoid of that stuff. So if I'm Russell Wilson, this is not a good morning. You don't look too great when you hear a comment like that coming from Michael Robinson.
Well, let me say this. Before I say how we should feel about Russell Wilson, you mentioned these guys don't lie. The first thought I had is, as the kids would say, no lies detected. Everything he said was right. Russell Wilson got paid a couple times. Got paid a couple times. And they did it by giving him the team and ushering out the era of the Legion of Boom. And you get it because defensive players' primes aren't as long. You got to have your quarterback. So they did that. And Russell Wilson's complaining. But here's the thing. How many franchises have been run better than the Seahawks? It seems to me what this shines a light on, the way we should feel about Russell Wilson, he expects the Seahawks to perform at optimal levels. Almost no such thing in life. They perform better than most. They're run better than most. There are some that are run a little bit better. The Patriots, when they had Tom Brady, right? That was the gold standard. You can think about the Packers, who also have Aaron Rodgers. You can think about the Chiefs now with Mahomes. These are all usually tied to great quarterbacks. The Saints, Drew Brees, these are all well-run franchises around great quarterbacks. And yet, how many of those guys have won more than one Super Bowl? One for Aaron Rodgers, one for Drew Brees, one so far for Mahomes. Even the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2, but that was a while ago with Roethlisberger. None of these teams are run optimally, and now the Patriots, without Tom Brady, look good and competent, but not great. So Russell Wilson seems to be saying, when you really look at it, I'm not in the best organization in football. But Russ, you ain't the best quarterback in football. In fact, the Seahawks are run at about the level, if you had to rank organizations, that Russell Wilson is among quarterbacks. They're top 5, so is Russell Wilson. They're in the running every year, it seems, in the NFC, preseason and during the season. Hey, they're among the Super Bowl favorites, just like Russell Wilson. He's never the best player in the league, but every year he's among the best handful of players in the league. So it makes me think, Stephen A., Russell Wilson wants to be on a team that's better than he is. You know, nothing is optimal, but he's in a very good situation, and it seems not to be good enough.
That's what you peel from it. Let me tell you what I peel from it, and I certainly don't get this from Michael Robinson in terms of my conversations with him in the past. This has not come from him, but I've alluded to this based on other players that I have spoken to in Seattle since they lost the Super Bowl in 2014 when they elected to have Russell Wilson throw the ball, and it was intercepted by Malcolm Butler as opposed to giving the ball to beast mode and letting him run it in from the half-yard line. Let me say this. I think that there are an abundance of people, even like Michael Robinson, who wasn't on that particular team, and others who may have been on the team, who will never get over the fact that Pete Carroll made that decision. Because here's the reason why.
Russell Wilson's fault.
Well, it wasn't Russell Wilson's fault, but in a sense, it's not that it was his fault, but just imagine this. If you feel some guy says all the right things, gets along with management just right, you know, ingratiates himself in such a way that they make a decision in the best interest of potentially him as opposed to the football team, then you have animosity that breeds from that. I believe, and I've stated this on many occasions, it's nothing new. I believe that there are an abundance of players on that team. A book will come out someday where we talk about how the franchise has never recovered from Pete Carroll and Darryl Bell's decision to give Russell Wilson the opportunity to throw that interception instead of handing that ball to beast mode because they wanted Russell Wilson to be the hero instead of beast mode to be the hero. And you got a lot of brothers on that Seattle Seahawks squad, past and present and future, that are and will remain resentful of that forever.